How have you been doing, Warren?
All right. Yeah, good to be honest. Apart from hitting 50 and reaping the aftermath of playing rugby league, so
Yeah.
I'm the
You
aches and
feeling it,
pains.
mate?
Oh mate, do I every single day? Yeah. So
Yeah.
had a couple of level
Well,
shoots, but no, we can't deal with.
yeah. Well, do you know what, mate? I'll push on that later, but I imagine the Kerr wasn't what it is now, is it? Because of the whole mental health stuff and rehabbing on your bill and that.
Yeah, yeah, we were made to do stuff, and we were pushed in ways that the lads today won't be able to cope with. My lad plays at Hunslet. And he always says to me, Dad, if you come in and saw what were going on, with the modern day lads, so they won't be able to deal with it. Because obviously he grew up with me and saw what I went through. And coaches were quite hard back then, very hard. So yeah, so there was no care back then. You know what I mean? There was no. It was just like get on with it and do it, basically.
Yeah, a little bit
But
without being audible to you, is like cannon fodder a little bit was.
yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
You played busted, you played with injections, you played with concussions. I mean, it's like obviously, I mean that's great what they're doing now. I think it's what they're
yeah.
doing for the game now, looking after lads. When they get knocked down, then I think that's brilliant what the game does for them.
No, it is, mate. Yeah. So I'll go right back to the start, like I do with everyone, mate. And where was home for you, and who lived at home with you?
I grew up in Outwood in Wakefield. I lived with my mum. She was a single parent. So yeah, so my mum, you believe it or not, my mum's about 4'2" and I'm 6'2", and I'm still shit scared of her to this day. Yeah, so
I'm the season,
I had a
mate.
bit, bit of a strict upbringing, but she taught me good values, and that was my mother. So
Where does the competitiveness come from then, mate?
um, to be fair, probably my mother because she's had to fight for everything, and watching my mum struggle and fight for stuff. It's probably where I learned it all from, to be honest. And she still is fiery, and I took that from her, the fiery side of things. I had a nickname of Red Mist at one. Old Steve Prescott used to call me Red Mist. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I'd say that the competition actually, my mother probably installed that without knowing she installed it into me.
So, how did rugby find you, or how did you find rugby, mate, and where was it?
Do you know, I'm probably 8 years old when I first started playing rugby, and there were a lad around the corner, and just one day he said, "Oh, I'm going to go play rugby," called Mark Evans, and he was no good at sport. He was a kid I just played on in the street with, and I thought to myself, well, if he can play, sure, God, I can play. So I ended up going down to Stanley Rangers with him, and
Right.
there were the old pro then back then, Terry Crook. I don't know if you remember Terry Crook. Terry Crook played for Batley. I think Terry Crook does a lot of radio work now. But he'll be knocking on, we'll tell you now. But he was my first ever coach, and he was a pro back then with Terry. So that's how my rugby days started.
Yeah. Was it like did they have to show picture cards to prove how old you was, or was it just
No,
no?
I remember playing against a kid called Murphy. God, back then he had hairs and everything and muscles. You know what I mean? It's like Jesus
Walking.
Christ. Yeah, but back then I think you played in like I think I think it went something like under nines, under 12s, under 15s,
It's
or
big, innit?
yeah. There was a big jumps back then, so you spend 2 seasons getting battered about and playing against bigger, stronger lads. Did it do us any good? Don't know. Did it do us any harm? Not really. It just made us tougher and stronger. That's what it did. I get what they're doing now, where they play with the kids. Every age group's got to be like nines, tens, 11. I get that. I think that's a better way of doing things by far, but it didn't. It certainly didn't hurt me doing it that way back then.
Do you know how the Southern Hemisphere do it was? Do you know?
They do it on it's sizing it, a bit like boxing.
Where?
Yeah, wait,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
mad that,
yeah.
innit?
Yeah, well, I used to box, you see, as a kid, and
Right.
I would go when I was boxing. A bit of a funny story. We're boxing in Doncaster, and I was boxing for the White Rose amateurs, and there was a kid, an experienced boxer with us, maybe in his 20s, something like that. I would have been about 14, 15 at the time. And this kid walks in, he's got tassels, muscles, tan, slick back hair, Tarzan boy, Darren. had all the gear on him. I'm stood there in my Dunlop plimsolls and my PE kit from school. And I said to this boxer who I was, "Oh, you'll be fighting him, Chaddy, tonight, but it looks a bit." Anyway, I go into the ring. I get called up. I go into the ring. And here we and all of a sudden they announced Tarzan boys. Well, my heart, everything just sunk because it was like nearly he was in his 20s and I'm only 15. Anyway, obviously I beat him. I beat him through pure fear. That's how I beat him. No, there was no skill involved. It was pure fear that day. So,
Do you know what though, mate? Like, how did you find playing both sport, mate? Like, so you've gone from
I
a
would
very
always
team orientated to an individual sport.
So yeah, so I would always one of them. If I were doing it, I would always doing that sport. I wasn't going off and doing another sport. So I played rugby, then I went to boxing, then I went back to rugby. That's how I did it.
In the off season?
No, I did. No, I probably jacked in rugby under 11s. I didn't come back to rugby till under 16, 17s. And I boxed. Right. So I just boxed. That's what I did. And to be fair, I love boxing, to be honest. But I just got asked to go back. A mate of mine, Jimmy Leatham, he played at Leeds Rhinos as a kid and ended up at LFC. Said to me, because I went to school with him, and just said to me, "Oh, we're short. My dad's wanting somebody to come and play for us." He knew that I'd played a bit as a kid. So I just went down to East Moor in, I think it was 15, 16s. And I enjoyed playing it again. So I sacked the boxing off, went back playing rugby, and that's how I got back into rugby. So
right, because I tell you what, mate, like some people can hide on a pitch, can't they? Yeah, you can't hide in a ring, mate, can you?
Do you know what? It's a lonely place as a boxing ring. And you like to say, you haven't got your mates to back you up or nothing. You can't be puffing your chest out. You've just got to get on and do it in a boxing ring. So I would say the boxing put me in good stead, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, basically, you've led me on nicely, mate. How did it go from being in a team to being an individual?
To be honest, so when you're in a team sport, you get nerves when you're playing that. But you don't when you're with a group of lads and that, and you don't really fear the opposition. But when you're in a boxing ring, I think fear is one of the biggest allies. You know what I mean? When you fear your opposition, as in when you're in a boxing ring, if you don't have that fear, I don't think you're going to win. So most boxers you'll ever speak to, they have fear. And if fear is what drives it. It's what makes you tick and stuff like that. Because you can't run in a boxing ring. There's nowhere to go. There's no hiding places. So
fast anyway. So I get caught, me, Warren. Turning circle with tank, mate. Get banged out before I can even move my feet. So, like going through high school, then, mate. What type of like weight does that carry? Being a known fighter, did it leave a marker on you for
no,
people?
well, to be honest, as a kid growing up, I was pretty small. I want a big lad. So going through high school, I wasn't a big lad at all. I could look after myself, but I used to always attract the bullies from the older years. I don't know why, but they used to always fancy having a go. So going through high school, it's pretty tough, to be fair, because I would always having to deal with school bullies and stuff like that. Not from my year. Always happened to be a year or 2 years above. Kids nicking dinner money and stuff like that. That's what went on back then. There were no mobile phones. We'll just keep kids occupied. So,
yeah. So did rugby carry on through school?
Yeah, I played for school. School rugby, loved it. I loved it because we were made up of, like, I think in our area there was Stanley Rangers, Eastmoor, Alton, and Craig. And our school team were made up of lads from all them teams. So we had a good crack, and we had a very good side, to be fair.
Would you play both courts, mate?
Do you know what? So that was never on the offer when I was a kid. It was just rugby league over in Wakefield, and that was it. But obviously there was Sandal Rugby Union. After I finished playing rugby league, got to about 38, 40, I decided to go play for Sandal Vets. I got asked to, so I popped down there, and you know what? I loved every minute of playing rugby union. I played inside centre, which was suited me because of class ball. And I loved it. And they're just a different breed of people off the field. And I loved it. And I'm playing with doctors, coppers, surgeons, you know what I mean? People I wouldn't normally mix with. And they embraced me and I embraced them, and it just worked. And I look back and I just think to myself, God, if I had my time again, I'd have probably gone and I'd have got it, rugby union.
So you would have, mate?
Yeah, I'd have had a go at it. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But I enjoyed it.
A lot of rugby league lads go and play union. I think sometimes on the sly, like, don't they? But like you and Dow's near the end played for Wigton against us at Widnes. He played inside centre because you not only can you crash bang and wallet, but you've got a nice offload game the per year, so it brings people into the game, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I loved it, enjoyed it. My lad, he played for the English schools at rugby. I tried to coach him to play in rugby union, but he was adamant he wanted to play rugby league. And I would never push him, like, but in back of me, I'm thinking, come on, go to rugby union, please. And not because I don't dislike rugby league, but financially, you just get looked after so much better in rugby union than you do in rugby league, and that were my reasons why for pushing my lad that way. But he chose league, so fair play to him.
So defensively, then, mate. Now we're on the subject of both courts. How did you find defending it inside centre? Did you find it like second row basically?
Second row. That's how second row. Yeah, that's how I tried it. Just like a second row. So obviously, most of my career was spent in back row. So I found it relatively easy on the playing rugby union. Plus, you didn't have to get back and forwards, did you? When in rugby league, you're up and back, and it's a lot harder in rugby league to defend than it is in rugby union. That's how I see it, anyway.
Well, that's that. You've just said it yourself. That distance, mate, is nowhere near enough really to get that run going, is it?
No, not at all.
You've got to make something happen to hit the ball at pace.
Listen, don't get me wrong. That ruck and maul is not a nice place to be, and if you don't know what you're doing, you're getting your head took off. Yeah. So and that takes some balls, does that ruck and maul. When you watch them rugby union lads, I have the most respect for when they're diving in there, because that takes some serious guts and balls to jump into that, because anything can happen in there. And if you
it's a lottery, innit?
Well, if you don't know what you're doing, your head's coming clean. The very first game, I've stuck my head in a ruck and ball, and I thought my head was going to roll off my shoulders. I didn't do it again. Someone learned a quick lesson that day. So,
and again, mate, do you not get asked to go like hybrid games and stuff, or old boy games and that?
Do you know what? I haven't played now for, it's best part of 50 hours. Best part of 7 years. I've not touched the ball, not gone anywhere near it. I've had a few back issues and stuff like that, and a few health issues, so I've had to stay away from it, to be honest. So
the one thing I think rugby league have got right, mate, where I know rugby union, especially in the northwest, mate, they're trying to do like a Friday night like vet league.
Yeah.
But some teams have took liberty on like it being a vets league, you know what I mean? But I think rugby league have cracked it with the Masters, haven't they? The coloured shorts and that. I like that idea.
Yeah, I watch Wayne Godwin and all, and they play, don't they? I follow him.
The life for the kid and that.
Yeah, it looks good, does that? Yeah.
So you're open to it though.
Yeah,
you get the right coloured shorts. Yeah,
definitely.
So no, it's just I'm shocked, like, because I'll be honest, mate, we're gonna go on to your career in a bit, but my mate got me into Bradford when, how old would I have been? The lower end of high school. I remember years, when Matt Elliott was in charge.
Yeah.
So you had like them little cards and you used to get your signatures on it. I come up when I was off school once.
Still got it in the scrapbook.
Do you know what, mate? I'm gutted. I forgot to get it from my dad because I was going to show you off her. I didn't want to embarrass you too much. But like, I remember I coming. You were just coming in from training because you never trained at Hunslet, did you?
No, we trained at Tom, the school Tom. That's where we trained, all down at Rawdon Meadows.
Yeah, and then you used to go back for a shower and that, did you?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because I was there and Matt got me autograph book for me and you all signed it. I was like, well, when you're a kid, mate, that's the dream. What was it? Joe Bloggs you were?
Yeah.
Like old school, that, innit? Sorry to go that far back, mate. You can slap me when I bump into you, but yeah, it's just like, especially when you're willing to do it as well, and you're willing to have a go. Plus, it wouldn't do no one the harm to reconnect with people, would it, fella? Like,
no, but no. Listen, it's great just getting, when you bump into lads and you haven't seen them for, I don't know, let's say 10 years, you're straight back into crack. It's like you've never been apart or never been away from anybody. And that's what I like about rugby league. You know what I mean? When you're bumping back into lads. Yeah, I mean, I bumped into last Friday. I bumped into, I don't know if you remember, Dave Myko played at Sheffield Eagles. Myko halfback, played under Gary and all that, and I bumped into him down at local Boozer. And just got straight back into it. Crack because me and him both played at Dewsbury together, and we was just straight back in. I haven't seen Myko in years, and we're like we'd never been apart.
So that is the beauty of the sport, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what's good about rugby. Yeah, both sports, is what's good. Or any team sport, I would imagine. It's just you just get straight back into it, crack, don't you? Yeah.
So when you're in that school level, then, mate, how did your school team go, and why did it take potentially so long to get back into club rugby?
The school we had a really good school team, to be fair, and we had some really good players. And to be fair, out of that school side, I would imagine quite a few turned pro, but never really kicked on, if you know what I mean. They turned pro and then it just fell away from it, or they fell out of love with sport. So we had a good side, and we'd go up with the school side. We'd beat the old teams. So Hull back then, they were the teams to beat when I was a kid, and we'd go there and beat them with our school side. So we did really well. But like club rugby, obviously that was really good as well. I used to love playing for me. Stanley Rangers, that were my local side. I love playing for them. School rugby was just fun. It was just good fun, and you had all the old PE teacher coaching us. Terry Smith didn't have a clue about rugby, but it was just a good laugh to, it just get us all together and just make a good team environment. That's why we probably did so well at school, to be fair.
Yeah. So if we touch back on boxing for a bit, mate, before we talk about how your career kicked on and that, is it like a clicky sport, mate? Is it hard to get rep stuff in boxing, or how does that sort of thing work?
Yeah, well, so boxing, you've more to be like invited, if that's the right word. So when I went down to the White Rose and started training, and it took me probably a good 2-3 months before anybody started spending any time with me. You know what I mean? Or you go on they give you the gloves, they put you on the bags, and that's it. And you're basically copying off other people before they're even teaching you. That's how it was back then. And the old guys, they're all ex-boxers and stuff like that. And when I say old guys, Bill Griff, he must have been 65, 70 back then when he was teaching us out of boxing. You won't mess with him because you could tell that he could fight in that. But once they took a shine to you, then that was it. Then the teaching and spend time with you, and you were always thrown in deep end. You were thrown into sparring straight away. You didn't have to throw a punch, but they threw you into sparring. But then you were invited. Then if they thought you were any good, you were invited to train on a Sunday. If you were invited to train on a Sunday, that's because they thought you were pretty good, and that's where they spend more time with you on a Sunday. So it takes them a couple of months before they even think about inviting you on a Sunday. Well, that's what they used to do. I don't know how they do it this day and age, but So
were you receptive to that? Were you receptive to like people dipping in and out, or would you have been someone to ask questions?
No, I probably want. No, I never put myself forward, to be honest. I probably didn't believe in myself. I'll be honest. And probably the same in my rugby career as well. I never put myself forward. I never thought I was better than everybody else, and I always kept my feet on the ground. When I look back, I just think to me, I think sometimes maybe I should have if I just pushed a bit more, pushed myself forward more, I might have just, I don't know. It's just
hindsight, that, mate.
Yeah, it's hindsight.
Yeah.
But with the boxing, you'd go to the white collar dudes and that, and I used to just keep myself to myself because I was all a young kid as well. You know what I mean? But yeah, the boxing's very, very clicky. It is clicky as a boxer.
I imagine it is, but it takes a character to be willing to get punched in the face, mate, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, the art of boxing is not to get punched, isn't it? That's the
Well,
actual art. The art of
I don't
boxing is
know.
punch
I
and
don't
not
know,
to be
mate.
punched. Yeah. Oh,
This
yeah, but
conch doesn't say that, mate. So when you go back to club rugby, then is that environment that you're feeling at school still there at club rugby?
yeah, oh yeah, definitely, yeah, yeah, definitely, yeah. I went to, like I said, I went to Eastmore. My pal Smith and go play because we were short of players, and I went. And Eastmore back then, it was just like a ragtag team. I can remember turning up. This is under 16s, turning up on a Sunday morning. We couldn't put a team together. Next thing we're all well, and you know, Hunty, Alan Hunt, his dad Mick was my coach, and it was funny because we'd jump on bus and Mick would be driving around Eastmore Estate, knocking lads up out of bed. And bearing in mind the 16 and all, they'd be getting out of bed, pissed as bastards. And they'd be getting them up bus and we'd have to go play a game of rugby. Half the team would be pissing, half the team would be sober. But that would Eastmore for you, you know what I mean? And it was just good times and good fun back then. It was funny, to be fair. And Alan's dad, Mick, I've got so much time for him, but God, he was an hard man. Him. Nobody said a word wrong to Mick. And no parent, nobody would say anything wrong to Mick. Not a chance.
Yeah.
So, and I still see him
So
now.
what?
You know, and I still laugh with Mick when I see him. Still have a laugh about
Again, that's the beauty, Warren, in it.
Yeah,
It's like memories
yeah.
in it, nostalgia and that. Yeah. And hopefully that'll never go, for like your lad and like people younger than him. You don't want that part of the game to change, do you? Because the game is changing.
Yeah, it's changing. Yeah, it's changing fast, isn't it? That's the problem with it, isn't it? It's, for want of a better word, I'm glad I got my era, and I'm glad I got the old school era. I come onto the scene in the old school era, when men were men, and remember the old car pack and stuff like that. That was a tough side to play against them. But so I'm glad I got my era. And when I watch it now, don't get me wrong, that they're athletes, they're fast, they're skillful. But for me, I don't think they're as tough as what we were or the generation before me was. I think it's just diluted a bit, to be honest.
Right. And again, sorry, mate, to go slightly in that direction, but I don't remember when I watched the Bradford team you were in and that, mate, that not every team played the same, did they?
No, it's becoming stale and boring. That's the modern era because everybody plays exactly the same. They're trying to beat you with numbers. You don't see anybody running lines or coming back against grain. You don't see players on. It's all about attacking with numbers, which I understand. But every team plays exactly the same, practically, and it's all
Better
about
teams
yeah,
execute, don't they?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Whoever executes the best wins, and that's how it works. But they've just made the game not as interesting. That's how I see it. I don't see the game as interesting anymore. Like I said, all teams played differently back then, and you had to like really sit and work out how a team played, to get your tips and stuff like that. Now, just watch Magic Weekend. You might as well watch the same team play all weekend because
Out the
all
back
the
and
teams
stuff all the time.
exactly
Yeah.
out the back, out the back, out the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we both do, we love the game, don't we? But it is about like I don't mind a 6-0 game, me.
If
Like
it's
like
entertaining,
yeah, I don't mind them games where like you're in the grind and it's about who's willing to stay in the game longer and make the tackles, and especially if like most teams now don't tend to defend back-to-back sets under their own sticks now, mate, do they? They
no,
sort of sacrifice energy for a few points, don't they? And then go again and stuff. And it's like I'd be more than happy to watch 3 games a weekend that are 12, 10, 6,
yeah,
4,
100%, yeah,
8,
yeah,
4, instead
yeah.
of like I feel bad on Salford lads. I've had a few of them on and that, and it's like they're going out for an hiding. No, I get this. Whoever these buyers are letting them down, aren't they? But it's still, I don't know. I think it's getting to the point where it's dangerous because the academy lads aren't ready, are they? Some
I
of them.
agree with you. Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's getting to the point where it's dangerous, but I don't think the players should have been punished like they got punished at the beginning of the season. I thought, you know what? If anybody is killing the game, it's them. It's them at the top. Why would you do that to a team and play? All right, but it's something to do with salary cap or overspending. So I don't know what it was, but that wasn't them players' fault. Let the players go out and do the jobs. Let them go out and play. You know, and why ruin the sport? Let them sort that off the field and sort it out behind closed doors. Don't punish the players. It's not fair. Not fair at all. And not fair at the
like, that's it. And you talk about welfare, mate, don't they?
Yeah.
That's the epitome of it, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And what did they do? All they've done is just ruined the team and and put another nail in coffin for the sport. That's all they've done. They're on shows at the top. I don't understand what goes through the brains. I really don't, because listen, go back to
fit and proper test mustn't be fit and proper, must it, for the start?
Yeah, it's nuts. But if they've, I don't know, if they've got, listen, if there's people willing to spend money and put money into a club, let them do it. And you know what? And I don't care how they do it. If they've got money to spend and they want to put it in, that's their passion. Let them get on with it and let them do it, because it's only good for the game. Generating money and using somebody is good for the game. I mean, do you remember Des Johnson, who would have put Badder? Well, Des Johnson owned Badder at the time, and Badder had a right side, and I mean a really good side. But what Des were doing, we're paying some lads cash, backhanded, I believe, right? They kicked him out of the game. Why?
Oh yeah, for the brand envelope.
But why? He had money. He had money. He was invested, and he had a passion. So why kick him out of the game? Do you know what I mean?
So
Deal with him a different. So then you've got another chairman running a club who hasn't got a pot to piss in, and team can't do.
Yeah.
I'd rather have the man with the money who's willing to burn a hole in his back pocket and spend money on a team, rather than that chairman who's just bumming about doing nothing for game whatsoever.
That wants the land rather than the team, knows nothing about rugby league and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think the fundamental reason was, and you'll know yourself, the salary cap is to make it a fair comp, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. So then you look and you go, only 4 or 5 teams regularly compete for that top prize. Same in the NRL, to be fair, isn't it? It's like they're getting that way now, where you could probably half guess a semi-final lineup.
Yeah.
So the salary cap isn't doing its job, because bottom-end teams still aren't managing to compete every other year, are they? So it's something that needs looking at. If it can't be increased, it needs maybe not scrapping, but altering with, like, remember the marquee rule or the homegrown stuff. I don't think it's transparent enough what the salary cap represents, to be fair. That's why fans get frustrated.
It's frustrating, isn't it? It's like, but like I said, it's you don't diss somebody who's willing to put money into a game, whether it's a backhander or whatever. Maybe that is underhand, and maybe you shouldn't do that, but deal with it in a different way. Don't kick him out of the game, because rugby league needs money. End of.
Yeah, it does.
Or it's just going to go down the pan. And if they can't realise that up top and realise what's going on, well, I just think it's going to end up being a sorry state of affairs.
Yeah, especially when obviously the Ashes series in the summer, the appetite's there for rugby league, innit?
Exactly.
Yeah. Right, sorry to go off on you there, mate.
All right, go on.
So at the end of school, mate, what's the plan? Are you already getting notice before leaving school, or?
So I left school. I was an Easter leaver, so I left at 15, mate. So that was the old way. So I left at 15. So I went straight into an apprenticeship. I had 2 weeks out of school. I was straight into work doing my apprenticeship. So playing rugby professionally, I just did it for fun, and never crossed my mind one little bit to play rugby professionally. And back then as a kid, I didn't even support anybody. I didn't even follow it. I just turned up and played because my mates were playing. That's the only reason I played the sport. So when I left school, I was doing my apprenticeship, and that was it. I was playing at Stanley Rangers. And when I got picked up, an old guy, he called his nickname Harold the Fish. And Harold the Fish run the fish markets, but he was a scout in the Wakefield area, and he'd come watching Stanley Rangers. And an old ex-pro called Ray Layton, who was sent for Wakefield back then, he was coaching us. Anyway, I'd played maybe a season at Stanley in under 17s, I think it was. And unbeknown to me, he'd been watching me. Anyway, he come up to me after the game and just asked me to go down to Hunslet. Invited me to go down to go train with the first team. So I thought, right.
Straight at 15, 16 straight away.
I was 17, I was in under 17s when I got asked to go down. Right. So I went down, and Paul Daly, the coach back then. And back then, that's when they first went back to academies. So I went down, trained a couple of times, and then I was asked if I'd play for the academy. So I played for the academy. Back then, you could play club and academy. So I played for the academy and still carried on playing for Stanley Rangers. Then quickly they brought a rule in: if you played for the academy, you couldn't play for club. And within a couple of months of me doing that all stopped. But I was lucky because I could still play for Stanley Rangers. I could still play for the academy.
Rugby.
Yeah, so I played a couple of games for the academy, and I'd been at work, and I come home, and my mum's in the kitchen making a cup of tea and that, and kettle whistling away and all I used to do. And I see this guy in front room, with his legs crossed. And it was Paul Daly, who was back then was the first team coach at Hunslet. Yeah. And I said, "Hey, Paul, what are you doing here?" And he said, "Hey, we cup of tea like, now then, Jowitt, I've come to sign thee." I went, "Sign thee? What do you mean, Paul?" And he went, "I've come to sign you. I want you to sign for us as a professional." And I went, "All right. I'm doing my apprenticeship. Jowitt, this is an opportunity you can't turn down." And he put £1,000 in cash in front of me. £1,000 back then. And I'd never seen £1,000. I don't even think my mother had seen £1,000. And I looked at this. Where'd you cash it? He put on the table. And I went, "Yeah, well, I'm doing notes, so I might as well sign for you, don't I?" He said, I'll do one better than this, Jowitt." He went, "I'll give you £1,000 now. I'm going to give you £1,000 a week later, and then I'm going to give you £1,000 after so many games." I'm like, chuffing hell. And I just took it because that were a lot of money to me, and I'd never seen it. I thought, well, do you know what? I enjoy it. Might as well do it. Anyway, he pulled the contract out. I signed it, and he went, so good drinking it. "Glad you've signed for me. Doug Lawton were chasing you." So Doug Lawton was Leeds Rhinos coach back then. So Doug Lawton would ask me as well, and I never knew that. And he obviously beat Doug Lawton to the punch. But I was happy enough anyway. £1,000.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Listen, do you think probably contracts need to be more incentivised now?
Yeah, definitely.
You know, after what we were just saying about styles of playing.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, make the players earn the bonuses, and and the win. Listen, I was playing at Bradford. It was £500 a win, £50 a loss. We won more than we lost. Yeah, big difference. And back then, £500 for a win were a lot of money. So, I mean, I don't know what players get paid this day and age, but we used to always do all right out of it back then.
Well, especially if like your partner or a family member worked in the club shop and that, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
But mate, that's how it works. You've got to get round it, and and that's how you do it. Like, if viewers and listeners are disappointed with that, mate, everyone was doing it.
Yeah, because of what? Yeah,
how the world works, isn't it?
Yeah. Listen, I remember playing. We played Salford. I was at Hunslet. I'm 18. We're playing Salford. Salford, the Cumway. It's in Challenge Cup. Tex Evans, Sam Panappa, Greggs, Andy Gregory, Phil Ford. They're right. They had internationals in the team. We drew 32-all. We were playing at the old Bramley ground, and we drew 32-all. But at half time, Graham Lyles walks in, bed, beat these today, boys. And that's what he did. He we didn't beat him, we drew 32-all. And we had to go to their place, back it up on Wednesday night, and we got beat 50-0, I think it was, on the Wednesday night. But But that's the chairman's what they did back then were totally different to what they do this day and age.
It's all part of the fun, that, mate, innit? That's what builds the team, doesn't it? Moments
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah. And that sticks out. I was 18 years old. There's a big wedge of money on physio bed. Beat these today. Do you know what I mean?
And then I'll have a rub, jump on it.
We put a massive effort in. We drew 32 all.
That's some result, that, isn't it?
Is it frozen?
Yeah, you're back, mate.
Yeah.
That's some result, that.
Yeah. Like I said, we went back to their place on the Wednesday night and we got smashed 50-0.
Yeah. It weren't a nice place to go, though, was it? The pitch was good.
Not the Willows.
At the Willows.
Yeah.
So what was the standard like from Eastmore or Stanley to academy to first team?
Big jump, massive jump. Obviously, I did it I was doing it all for the fun. I actually thought I could play it. I actually thought I could play a bit until I signed for Hunslet, and then soon realised I had a lot to learn. And obviously, in that era, in '93, you're playing against like the Own brothers. They were renowned for being a pair of dirty little fuckers, weren't they? The Own brothers, but they were. And and I was playing with the likes of Roy Sampson, who would love to have a fight and blow a scrum up. And I'm 18 years of age. I'm not being used to any of that. I was just lucky that I could probably handle myself a little bit. So, So back then they loved the scrap on field, didn't they?
Yeah. So do you think maybe not going? I know you weren't aware of the interest from Dougie and Leeds, but do you think that stepping stone was probably the right move for you at that point?
Yeah, looking back, because I don't think. Obviously, I wouldn't have gone to Bradford, and Bradford, don't get me wrong, I've got some great coaching at Bradford. So I wouldn't have gone down that path. I'd have gone to Leeds. I can't comment on what the Dougie were like or anything like, but maybe that was the right path. Me going to Hunslet and then to Bradford. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
How was it at Hunslet, mate? How long were you there for, and
how did
you find your feet?
I did a season in the academy, stepping up to. Well, you played academy, you stepped up to 18, didn't you? That's how it was.
Yeah.
And then if you went from 18 to first team, so I did a season like that, and then I was straight into first team and did a full season in first team, and that was it. I think I did 2 years at Hunslet, and then obviously Bradford come in for me.
So just for viewers and listeners, mate, the A-League was basically people banned and coming back, people from injuries. It was virtually a first team or return.
You were playing with in the A team. You were playing with quality players.
Yeah.
Like I said, the band lads or lads coming back from injury, and they all had to play in the A team. And for me, that's how it should be. And if you're not playing first team, you're playing A team. That's how it should be. And that was great because even at Bradford, when I was at Bradford in '95, I'm playing with the likes of Johnny Pendlebury against Johnny Pendlebury. Well, what a player he was. And some tough old pros like Chico Jackson and all them. They taught you good, hard lessons on field. And it was just good to be playing with and against quality players.
So leaving Hunslet, mate, how did that come about? Or was it instigated by Bradford's interest?
Well, so back then there were two divisions, one the first division, second division, that's all it was. So obviously Hunslet were in the old second division. And I'd been picked for GB under-21s, and I was the only player out of that division that had been picked. Gary Everett was the GB under-21 coach at the time. They were playing, went to France, we were playing in France. So I'd had a good season, and I was at work. I'd gone to work, and I got a phone call. And Paul Daly got the sack, and Steve Ferris had taken over Hunslet. And I got a phone call off Steve Ferris, and I was sat at work, and he said, "Have you heard of a team called Bradford?" Bradford. Bear in mind, I didn't know much about rugby because I never thought
about rugby. I
wasn't asked about who players were. I didn't care.
Yeah.
And he said, "Have you heard of Bradford?" Bradford Bulls went, Nah, who are Steve? Well, they started reeling some players. I said, Steve, I don't know anybody. And he went, well, they've come in for you. They want you to go full time. And I went, full time? What does that mean? So it means you won't have to work again. You can just go. And I turned around to him and I said, to be honest, Steve, I'm not too bothered. I quite like it, Hunslet. I enjoy doing what I'm doing. So I'm all right. I'm not asked. And he went, tough. We've sold you, so you're going. So that week, I was off and gone to Bradford. And I'd gone from not being asked, having to be asked, because it become my job.
Was that a big change for you?
Yeah. Going to Bradford, massive. Yeah. Oh yeah, massive. Yeah, it was horrible in the beginning. It was horrible because I'd gone from doing well as a kid at Hunslet and like becoming a big, like a sort of big fish in a little pond as a young kid. I got to Bradford, and Derek Fox, Paul Newell.
So that's the early realization of part time and full time.
Yeah. Massive shock to my system, massive shock. Yeah. So, and I found it really tough because I would having to train through the day, and then they were making me stay behind and train with 18 on the night because I was unfit. I wasn't fit. So, and the level were massive because in '95 that's when it all changed, didn't it? So everybody went full time and stuff like that, and yeah, it was a big shock to my system. That, to be fair.
Suppose, mate, you become product of your environment, don't you? So you got yourself fit enough to excel at Hunslet level. No offense to Hunslet.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So and doing all right and playing every week, and then I got to Bradford, and it's just totally different level, different ball game, and like I said, and it took me 96 season. I played 18 for the entire season, but. And, I did really well. I ended up with player of the year and doing really well in the 80 team. And Brian Smith was the coach back then. And obviously I got my head down in the off season of end of '96 to '97 and decided, right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to play first team for them. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to play first team for Bradford, and that's what I did. I broke into the first team at the start of the season. So.
Yeah, and you mentioned GB23s, mate. We've sort of skipped past that, so. Did that mean, again, because you're not asked about rugby still at that point, are you? Did that mean anything to you, or is it just the next step in development?
No, so I got picked for Yorkshire, so Yorkshire, Lancashire. Glenn Knight was the coach for the Yorkshire side, and we're playing obviously Lancashire, and we're playing at Feds Ground, and I got picked for that, and I didn't turn up. I was at work. I thought, he's not going to play me. I'm out. I didn't because I didn't back myself. And I was playing with there was some good kids in them teams. Anyway, Glenn Knight rung me, and it was a Friday afternoon. I just had fish and chips at work, and he went, "Where are you, Joey?" I went, "What do you mean?" He went, "You were down to start, but I'm going to put you on bench now because you haven't turned up on time." Oh, fuck it! So I had to get me mum, ring me mum, you need to take me to Fev. Obviously, I didn't have a car though. So my mum had to shoot me over to Fev, and I got a belly full of fish and chips. But because I thought I wasn't good enough and thought just didn't think anything of it. I didn't think it was important. That's how I thought. Anyway, got put me on the bench, give me a bit of the ball, put me on the bench. Anyway, it put me on into, I think it might have been second half. I actually turned the game for the 21s.
Right.
Did you get that?
It's mad how it's just mad how you've gone full chippy.
Yeah.
Selection, innit?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Do you reckon a little bit was like self-preservation, mate? Like, I know you didn't believe in yourself, so you were sort of saving any potential embarrassment, or
yeah, definitely, yeah, 100%, yeah. That's what it was, yeah, because I didn't have the nice boots like everybody else did and stuff like that.
Right.
They had all the tracksuits and that. I had nothing. I had my fucking Golo lambs, 13 studs and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's just
It does do that to you, though, doesn't it?
Yeah,
because that shows the commitment's already there, doesn't it?
Yeah. I remember getting on the bus and they've all got the club tracksuits and that. I mean, have a club tracksuit just with clothes out and that, wasn't it? So it was quite. I found that embarrassing.
Right.
I found it embarrassing, and so that's probably why I chose not to go and stuff. But I went. Did all right with a belly full of fish and chips.
You know what though? I love the fact you've probably showed other lads around your standard what they can achieve.
Say that again.
Yeah, you've showed other lads around your standard or the possessions they have or the lack of tracking, but that you still can go on and do that. And you've probably not
100%,
realised that
yeah.
at the time.
Yeah.
Man, I love that, mate. So when Bradford are winning things and that, mate, when did you start to feel at home and comfortable in that environment?
I would say halfway through '96, I'm not playing at 18, but the lads around me, Graham Bradley and stuff like that. Graham Bradley was great for me. He took me under his wing. He was the old head, I was the young kid in the team, and he was great. Bernard Dwyer was good for me. Took took basically put around me, players do that, but that's what lost connections, man.
Yeah, mate, again, mate.
I just moved it to mine.
I'll let you get sorted. I'll just ask you that again. Is that all right?
Yeah, I'll just get a chair. I'll just moved you.
Do you get a chance to look back, mate, and realise how well you've done without me mothering you or people like me?
Do you know what? Over the other day, I was watching. There was something on Instagram. It was tries Bradford Scott scored in '97 against Oldham when Oldham were in Super League. And a couple of my tries went on. So here, look at this. And I watched it. I thought, you did all right there, didn't you? Want to win actually, yeah. So you know what I mean? So yeah. So when I look back, and watch, and my lad found a game. It was Salford v Leeds. And he said, I watched the game today, Dad. I went, oh, yeah. I went, what is it? I said, Salford v Leeds. He went, they couldn't hold you. I said, what do you mean? He said, you were too strong for them. Anyway, I watched it. And to be fair, I was one of the strongest ball carriers on the field at that time. So, yeah, so I probably didn't give myself enough credit. But I'm not that sort of person to pat myself on the back and, and walk around thinking I'm better than everyone. I just never have done that. So,
yeah, that's fair enough, mate. It's just, a lot of lads don't tend to until I pester them, and then when they've jotted it down or we go through it, they're a bit like, you know what, I have done all right. And it's just a shame, innit, that you don't get to enjoy the moment.
Yeah, you're right, because I always doubted myself. Doubted myself, and and I was probably hard as a player on myself as well. I'd come off field and I would never be satisfied with myself. And all I ever wanted was somebody to say to me, "Have I ever done good or done shit?" And that's how it had to be. It had to be
nice and straight.
Yeah, it had to be black and white for me. I didn't want nobody to, flout. If I'm being crap, if somebody said to me, "Oh, you've done all right today," I'd be pissed off because I didn't want that. I wanted the direct, you was shit. Then I can deal with it and sort it out. But when somebody pats you on the back and you shit, I hate that. I just think it's not for me, that I'm afraid.
Yeah.
It's like,
no, that's fair enough.
If you did that to a young kid today, they'd probably melt, wouldn't they? Something, I don't know. They probably wouldn't be able to deal with that sort of.
No. Well, you, like you said, you were lucky. You were in the generation that suited you best. Yeah. So in '96, or whenever Super League, it was 95, 96, wasn't it, mate?
95
Bradford were
century
like,
season, yeah.
yeah. So Bradford were doing what like Derek at Lee's trying to do, weren't they? Making it a spectacle. And how
Yeah,
was it being
yeah.
around Bradford when it was like that,
Oh,
mate? Because you
you
were
know
like
what?
the bar, weren't you?
Yeah, it was brilliant, mate. Honestly, I remember we had a gold card for McDonald's. This is how good it was. And Burger King, we had these little like credit cards, and we could go. Obviously, pro athletes shouldn't be eating that sort of crap, but we could go with these gold cards and get free food. It was unbelievable. And what like we always used to say, walking around Bradford, you would treat like a film star. That's how you would treat back then. Honestly, it was just unbelievable. So Bradford was such a good place to be at that time because Super League had just come in. Bradford are on the up. Bradford are flying high, and everybody wanted to be part of Bradford Bulls, and they used to bring some right crowds. So to be fair, that side of Bradford was really a really good time and really enjoyable time. And they were a good bunch of lads there as well. A good set of lads.
So what are your best memories, mate, from your spell at Bradford? And I'm guessing it's probably the highlight of your
Yeah, well,
memories as
97.
well.
We won Super League in 97. Um,
Yeah.
so obviously in 97 I'd have been 22, I think, 23, something like that.
Young, that, innit?
Yeah, young, yeah, very young. And
Yeah.
back then that were young because most forwards back then were pushing up 26, 27, 28. When I say push up, when you get to 27, 28, 29, 30, that's pretty old in rugby terms
Yeah.
for the forwards, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
obviously, back then the retirement age was like 32, 30. You want many people get past 32. So so to get in the side at that age were a big. I think me and Robbie Paul were the two youngest in the team at the time. I think Robbie's a year younger than me, so we were the two youngest in the team at the time. So that was a big achievement.
Massive, mate. And I imagine you just thought that was going to happen every year when you're pretty much coming out you're at the back end of being a kid, a young man, aren't you? Really, in rugby terms,
Yeah,
mate,
yeah,
as a
yeah.
forward. I bet you probably, again, not putting words in your mouth, but took it a little bit for granted, expecting it to be like a regular thing, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're probably still not that arsed yet, are you?
So, but I probably did take it for granted. Yeah, and just it just. I mean, one of my biggest problems. I spent a lot of time injured, didn't I? So it just that tarnished my career. Did that, to be fair. Still did all right, but it dampened me a little bit. I mean, and one of my biggest regrets is '97. Brian Smith has gone back to Parramatta, and obviously in '97 I was flying for Bradford. I was doing really well in '97, and Brian Smith had come in for me to take me to Parramatta. I remember Matthew Elliott come up to me in the gym at Heartbeats in Bradford and saying, "Listen, Brian Smith wants to take you to Parramatta. Do you want to go?" And because I was young, I was an own boy, and I said, "I'm all right, mate. I'm enjoying it here. I'll leave it." When I look back, I think, idiot. If I just had somebody outside of me to, encourage
Weren't
me.
the Moldor one, was it?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so I didn't go. It didn't happen, but that's probably the only regret I've got in rugby league.
So before we kick on there, just two things, mate. One, what is a grand final like? Because it isn't just another game, is it?
No, but back then the grand final wasn't the grand final, was it? We were still in the old winning the Super League outright. That's how we won it. So in '97 it was won outright. So I think we'd gone 22 games or 21 games undefeated or something like that.
Some going.
So we'd won Super League outright. I think we'd gone. Who had we gone to? We'd gone to. I think we played. I think it Paris Saint Germain. I think it was Paris Saint Germain, and we got beat, or we nearly got beat. I can't. Anyway, I remember coaching staff going ballistic with us all, and then.
Horse for comfort.
Yeah, and then I think it was Sheffield. We had to go to Sheffield. And we played Sheffield, and we beat Sheffield at Sheffield to win Super League. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, And
Do
then
you prefer that system, mate, rather than the playoffs?
I
I've
think
no doubt you'd understand why the playoffs are there for the
yeah.
dramatisation and
Yeah.
stuff.
I get it. I get it all. I think if you win outright, I think if you finish top, you're the best, and that's how it should be. I don't think if you finish sixth and then, like, let's say Wigan have won all their games all year, six on because on any given day, any team can beat anybody, can't they? But the team that wins it outright, for me, is the team that's the best team, and that's how it should be. It's what I was brought up with. The team that finishes in pole position is the best side. Yeah. So, and you know what? In the Challenge Cup, I just wish that was big like it used to be. That were a boy's dream to play at Wembley. It's not seen as a good cup anymore, and that for me, yeah, it's sad. I just find it so sad because Challenge Cup was the be all and end all for every team to play in, and it ain't anymore.
I think the big club should go in straight away,
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, just to spice it up.
Yeah, because imagine like what it'd be like for a Stanley Rangers team to get Wakey at home.
Yeah, it's a big payday for him, isn't it?
That's it, and like you might never get an opportunity to do that again.
Certainly, that generates money for them clubs, and that's going to help them lower clubs out, isn't it, by generating the money? Yeah, I don't agree with. I don't think teams should go play at an amateur club to play. Even like my lads' team, Hunslet, or the lower divisions, like the division below. I think if an amateur team is playing, they have to go to a professional club and play there.
Yeah,
that's because and I know that them amateur games at sidelines, you just get some absolute idiots, don't you, watching them
you
games.
can do, mate.
Yeah. So I'm not saying they're all idiots, but there's some idiots that watch them games, and all they're there for is to see a fight and carrying on. So you don't need that, do you? That's the part.
No, and it is a free shot, actually, wasn't it? It's a good point now.
So I think all amateur teams should go play and take half the game at the professional club. End of. I think it should be done anyway.
Yeah, I'd like to see like the big clubs in it earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, so like you said, Saints going to go play on an amateur side over your way, but that's massive, isn't it?
Yeah, like Ottawa, Thatawee for something. Yeah. Well, there were St Helens Crusaders when I was younger. You might remember them as that, but it's Thatawee now.
Yeah, Thatawee.
But so it's just an idea, and it may just to reinvigorate it. Maybe if they want to, like that's a point as well, and you might just be happy with how it is, unfortunately. But the second thing, mate, was injuries. So you touched on them there. Did you have big ones, mate?
No, mate. Every injury, I had 14 operations, all to do with rugby. So the biggest injury, I had my pelvis split in two. That was against playing for Salford against Hull when that happened. Gaz Carvel and Kingy, actually, they were tackling me, and because it was muddy as well, I was fighting each tackle. And what they'd done, and fair play to them, because I'd have probably done the same as well. I wouldn't go down. So what they did, they made it look like they weren't wrestling with me no more. So I took my foot off the gas. Next thing they picked me up, and I've gone and my legs have just split in two. And obviously, Kingy and Carvel, they're both 16-stone blokes, and so they're going straight through my body. And just wishbone me, my legs just split in half, which split my pelvis. And that was the worst injury I'd picked up in my career.
Was that instant agony, that,
Yeah, that was instant agony, but I didn't, like an idiot, I tried to play on for another 2 or 3 weeks after that. I was popping pills, something rotten, just to try and play. But I ended up having 4 bolts, titanium plate, bone graft, all on my pelvis at front. And I had 4 hernia operations as well, all to do with the same injury. So
I imagine you're never quite the same there then. What a night.
No. It's coming back from an injury like that is tough. It's really tough. Coming back from an injury is tough for anybody. I've had 2 shoulder recons, knee recon, and then my pelvis. The pelvis was the worst one by a country mile. So coming back from that took some doing, to be honest. Just getting my confidence back to play again. I were on sidelines for the good. Hell, I bet we're out for, out properly from playing 12 months. Easy.
Let's hope for that, didn't it?
Yeah. So,
it can change the game, the atmosphere, you desire it. It's a long time, that, isn't it, in sport?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I would say, luckily, I enjoyed training, so it never got me down. I always set myself a goal to come back bigger and stronger. So that's what I used to do.
No Chippy Fridays was
no Chippy Fridays, no half days of going straight to the
pub. I love that though. I still love that. So Bradford was a great time for you, wasn't it, mate? And it really introduced summer rugby league for you, because you come from the old version and that you're reinvigorating it now. So why did leaving Bradford come about? Was it amicable?
No, I always had a problem with Matthew Elliott, or Matthew Elliott always had a problem with me. I was a lot young as well. So obviously Brian Smith, straight down the line, very hard, very harsh, very good technical coach. Matthew Elliott, very good technical coach. And I mean, very good. But as a his man management skills were just shocking. They were horrendous, to be honest. He couldn't manage, or he didn't know how to talk to players, and especially younger players. So in 98, I'd had the knee reconstructed. I come back, and I'm doing well again. I go straight back into the first team. But in 99, I broke my ankle in 97. In 99, there was a piece of bone that had broke off and got stuck in the joint. So every week I was having painkiller injections to play. I did that all season. And I knew I needed an operation to get it sorted out. Anyway, we obviously got to the grand final in 99, didn't we? And we'd gone into camp at Harrogate. So the 2 weeks prior to the grand final, we'd gone into camp at Harrogate. And he just wasn't talking to me. It's just when he just wasn't speaking to me. And I thought, I'm not going to get picked here. Anyway, I trained all week. I'd been having injections just to train. And we trained the following week. We trained at Hunslet on the Monday. Anyway, we all trained, the team, the squad. Anyway, I got a phone call Monday evening. Oh, don't bother coming in Wednesday. There's no point coming. You're having day off Wednesday. We'll be back in Thursday. Well, I think the grand final then was, I don't know if it was on the Friday or done over the weekend. I can't remember. We were at Old Trafford. And anyway, so obviously I don't go training on the Wednesday. Anyway, at 3 o'clock Wednesday afternoon, Brian McDermott rung me. I said, "It was. Where you been?" And I went, "What are you on about, Brian?" "The squad that's playing's been in today." I said, "Are you having a laugh?" He went, "No." He said, "The lads that are playing, we've been in." I said, "Brian, you're taking piss, because if you've been in, I'm not coming back to Bradford ever again." And he went, "No, I was definitely, we've been in." I said, "Well, I got a phone call telling me we're all having day off." He didn't tell me that I wasn't playing anything. And obviously prior to this, because I'd got thinking that I wasn't going to get picked, I'd gone to see Gary Slater, the physio, and said, "Gary, listen, sort my operation out. I don't think I'm playing. So let's get it sorted, then I'm ready for pre-season." So I'd come to terms with it in my head. You know what I mean? I'll deal with it. I wasn't happy, but let me get ready for next season.
Yeah.
Anyway, up at Hunslet, he come and sat in my car, did Matthew Elliott, climbed in my car. I said, "What's this about the operation?" I went, "Well, my ankle's knackered. I don't think you're going to play me, Matty. So there's no point, is there? I might as well get it sorted and get myself in." And he patted me on my leg and went, "I need you, Oz." What does that tell you? That tells me that I'm playing. And then I get that on the Monday, I get that dirty phone call. "Oh, there's no training." That was him. There's no training on Wednesday, was.
You were right pissed off, mate.
Oh, I was fuming.
Yeah.
I'd already got my head around it, thinking like that. But to be lied, and for somebody to lie to you and not be honest with you like that is just.
Was it like one of them? Like, was it a test? You think?
I don't know, but listen, it
He
broke me.
should know you though, shouldn't he? He should
Yeah,
know
yeah.
you enough to know, like, be
That
straight with you. Yeah,
that broke me because we'd been to Australia. Remember the World Club Challenge?
yeah.
In 97, wasn't it? Now, I don't care what anybody says. I'll say it. I was the best player for Bradford in the World Club Challenge in 1997 out in Australia. I played against Penrith Panthers, I played against Cronulla Sharks. I was the one that everybody was talking about, nobody else. I was the one that making the headlines. We're coming back to play Leeds Rhinos. I get dropped. Everybody just went, even Brian Matt went, what do you have to do to stay in this team? I said, you tell me, I haven't got a clue. I said, but I'm getting pissed off. And I was getting pissed off because
It was, yeah.
because I was the younger one. I think I must have been an easy meet or an easy target for him. That's how I thought anyway.
They just let you do that all year, though, jab up and then, like,
yeah, exactly.
yeah, let you down at the end.
Yeah.
It's a
So
mad one, that. I don't know whether it was like a mad little test or something, but yeah, someone should have knew you better, really,
yeah,
just to
definitely.
pull you
100%.
aside and
Yeah,
say, be straight with you, yeah.
yeah. And
Because
that's
you
all.
mentioned him, mate. What was Brian Matt like? Because he doesn't get good rep, does he?
Listen, Brian's Brian. You've got to know how to take him, and you've got to. He's very strange. He's very odd, but he's a good bloke.
Yeah. No sparring was the mate, because I know he enjoys that stuff, doesn't he?
What you want sparring that?
The boxing, he weren't
Yeah, he loves
sparring with him,
boxing.
was
Yeah,
you?
he loves boxing. Yeah. But yeah, I got on with Brian. I used to travel with Brian. So, and to be fair with Brian, he had me back. So, I have the same story as what you've just said. But as far as I'm concerned, Brian was a good bloke, and don't get me wrong, a little bit weird, bit odd, a bit out there. I think he's got about.
Real honest with you, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, Brian, very honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, very honest. Yeah. Dead straight as well. Yeah. So
Right.
I remember him when the bus were waiting for me for the grand final. They were asking where they were. And Brian said, he's not coming. And they were waiting for him. And Brian said, he's not coming. He's done. He's not coming back to Bradford. And I was still under contract, by the way. I just walked away from Bradford.
I don't know what they'd expect, though, mate, to be honest with you, like when that's happened. And I'll be honest, I've only ever heard great things about him. And when he had Medley on, Paul, I messaged him saying, like, he spoke well, yeah, and I just said, for that day, like I told you before, when he looked after me when I worked well, I just thanked him, because that was like, it's a kid's dream, that, mate, innit?
Yeah,
Other
because it
than
is, yeah.
actually going in and meeting you, like, that's the best thing he ever could have done, and it left an impression. But it just shows sometimes, doesn't it? Like, you think we put you all on pedestals, and it doesn't mean that they're like that with everybody.
No, correct.
Yeah.
I did it tough with Matthew Elliott, really tough, to be fair.
Yeah.
And had I knew that he was leaving the club, so when I left, I think he did another season, and then he left to Australia. Went back to Australia. Now, if I'd have known that, I'd have just dug deep and stayed there. I'd have stuck it out because I got on with Nobby really well, and Nobby looked after me in the A team and stuff like that. And Nobby was always putting his arm around me, looking after me, So I would have stuck it out because probably I would have ended up playing for Nobby. You know what I mean? But I didn't know that, and I ended up going to Wakefield.
Hindsight again, innit, mate?
Hindsight, yeah.
So Wakey, technically your own town club, mate, even though you know genuine support for anyone, you just love the game. So was it a no-brainer for you?
Yeah, do you know what? Just playing for your own town club is just something else. So don't get me wrong, playing in front of record crowds at Bradford, playing in, winning Super League and doing all that was brilliant. But walking out at Wakefield, the buzz I got from that, because Wakefield was my own town. And if I were going to have a bad game, I'd know about it. Because fans, you couldn't walk down the road without fans letting you know you've had a bad game or not. But so the buzz
You should have just made sure you were with your mum, was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everyone was scared of my mother. But playing for Wakefield, absolutely loved it. I can't say I enjoyed my time there because of what happened off the field.
Yeah.
But playing for Wakefield, I just loved it, and I had a great season, to be honest, at Wakefield. A great season.
And you know, because we touched on the Salford thing, mate. So that's where you have an understanding in it. Like
Yeah.
for viewers and listeners, that's not uneducated from you. It is from me because I'm just a grave digger from witness. You know what I mean? But you've been in that situation. So how does it affect you, mate? When do you get hints that that's happening, Warren? Or
No, well, I tell you what, we signed with Andy Kelly had put a bit of a decent team together with Bobby Golding, Steve McNamara, Tony Taputo, Willie Porchin, some good players there. So put an half decent side together. And we go to Leeds, first game of the season. We beat Leeds at Leeds. That one expected at all. Then we go to Saints. Sean Long, he missed his goal. Tommy Martin took they got a penalty in the last minute of the game. I think we were drawing something daft like that. They get a penalty in the last minute of the game. Tommy Martin misses. Sean Long pounces on the ball and scores. They win the game. But nobody expected that either. And then I think I'm trying to think who we beat week after. Might have been London or somebody like that. Warren, I think it might have been Warren actually. And we were set off, house on fire. We were flying. Wakefield were doing really well. 3 games into Super League season. Boom. No pay packet. It was like, what's happening here? Everyone was like, what's going on here? Nobody got a pay packet. And like,
no hint, no, mate, no.
No hint, no nothing. It just boom, no pay packet. And then promised that we'd get paid a week after. And so anyway, obviously, as soon as that happens, chips go down straight away, don't they? Because obviously lads are dependent, and we all got paid monthly back then as well.
Yeah.
So obviously, the following month come round, but all still being playing, but no money. And at the time, I think I'd just had my little lad as well at the time, and I'd got a mortgage and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, Christ, how am I going to pay a mortgage here? Because that was my only income, because I was a full-time rugby player. So, and I obviously was the breadwinner. So obviously, it affected people in different ways. All it made me do was think, right, hang on a minute. The only way I can get out of this is by playing my ass off, and hopefully somebody will come in for it. Yeah. And obviously some players got Monk on and Monk put their effort in, and you know what I mean. And it all just went south and went sour pretty quick, and that's all down to the chairman Ted Richards and how he run the club, and the guy called John Pearman. It was shocking what they did to us. I remember going into the office and saying, Ted, listen, I need to pay my mortgage. I've no money. And
how old are you as well, by the way?
25. I was 25.
Hell,
yeah, and I thought, I've no money. I need to pay my mortgage, Ted. I'll pay it for you. Right? Thinking that he was looking after me. He paid my mortgage, took it off me a week later. And we're due to get paid a week later. He took the money off me. So I was back to square one again. No money again. And I thought, why do that?
Dug it all deeper on you, didn't he?
Yeah. So obviously, so I can't say it didn't affect me, because it did. It affected me in a big way. Yeah. But I just thought, get your head down here, grit your teeth, and get yourself out of here. And because obviously,
seen the nasty side early there, mate. Unfortunately, didn't
you? Yeah. So obviously, I played well, and I think I got support players player of the year at Wakefield. I got voted. It was me, Adrian Morley, and Cassidy. We got voted the best 3 back rowers in the game at that time. So that was in total rugby league, whatever it was, and I was doing well. So anyway, Huddersfield coming for me, Hull FC coming for me, Salford come for me, and I had Saints knocking on the door as well. I don't know. Do you know a guy called Mike Latham? Is he part of Lee, or was part of Lee, something like that? He were a writer for paper, but we were also doing a bit of. He were an agent as well, and he approached me and said, "Look, there's these clubs interested in you," but unbeknown to me, Mike was leaning towards Salford because he was a Salford fan.
Right.
So I spoke to us.
So there's a grand on the massage table.
Yeah. So I'd already gone. I'd met Sean McRae. I'd met Salford. Met Huddersfield. We spoke to Millward, and John Harvey was the Salford coach at the time. The old big Australian test forward. And obviously, what swayed it was one. money they offered me were very good. And 2, John Harvey come to my house to take time out to talk to me, but he didn't talk to me. He spoke to my wife, and I just thought, you know what a man you are. You've come, and all they come with. They were speaking about, my dogs and stuff like that. They weren't talking about rugby. They were talking to my wife, not me. And Dave Tarry had come over, was the club secretary at the time, and he was talking money and contracts to me. So that's probably one of the reasons why I went to Salford, was because of John Harvey, how he treated me and how he treated my wife at the time. Then, yeah. So he sold it to me, really.
It must be daunting walking into them types of clubs as well, though, because you're still like a young man, aren't you?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. But Salford then, when Huddersfield was trying to rebuild at the time. Hull FC, when I look back, I went to Hull obviously 18 months down the line after that, but Hull FC had a good team and were pushing up top half at table. Obviously, Saints were flying, but I wish I'd have got the Saints, but I didn't think I was good enough. That whole thing again.
Again.
And I'd come off back of a good season as well. So I didn't want to.
What do you think it'd have took for you to not necessarily look yourself in the mirror, but to truly appreciate your ability?
I don't know. Maybe I just need it. So my mum always come to watch me, right? No matter where I played, but my mum knew nothing about rugby. She couldn't give me any advice, anything like that. She was just there for me. But I just needed somebody probably to guide me. I didn't have no guidance. I probably just needed somebody to give me a kick up arse and say, "Come on, you are good." You know what I mean? Needed that. I probably did need that pat on back at times, which I never got. Yeah. So,
again, in hindsight, you might have got with Nobby. Only Matt made it uncomfortable,
So yes, I think Brian Noble would have been really good for me. I think as a coach, I think Nobby would have been really good for me, and I would have probably kicked on even more with Nobby. So,
So how was it at Salford for you? Did you enjoy it, mate?
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Are you trying to kid me here, mate?
No, it was tough because, I went to Salford and do you know what? John Harvey, what a top man. He wasn't technically a good coach. So technically he wasn't good. But as a manager, he managed me well, he spoke to me well. And if he said run through that brick wall, I'd have run through a brick wall for him. That's the difference. That's the sort of relationship I had with John Harvey. Now, I think
he'd probably be a director of rugby now. Was if that was a role, then wouldn't he? And he'd have a head coach under him, maybe.
So technically, not good at all. Didn't have good ideas.
Just talk to you on a level.
But on a level, he spoke to me. It made me feel quite important, to be honest. Did John? So I would, like I said, I would have run through a brick wall for him. So when I was playing at Salford, I was playing for John. You know what I mean? But that's a player should play for the coaches. That's how I see it. So I was playing for John, and I enjoyed it. And Bobby come to Salford with me, and obviously Bobby at Wakefield with me. And me and Bobby had a little good partnership on the field. We played well together, me and Bobby. So Bobby was good for me, and I was probably good for Bobby because we looked out for each other.
That's when like halves would play both sides of the field, innit, mate?
Yeah. So I didn't, probably me and some of the lads never saw eye to eye. Didn't have any wrong words or anything like that, but you could just tell we didn't see. My opinion.
Can't get on with everyone, Warren, can you?
No, can you? No, you can't. No. So me coming from Bradford, which was like a super professional environment, and an environment that trained really hard. I went to Wakefield. Don't get me wrong, going to Wakefield great for me because the shackles were off and I could play how I wanted to play, not how I had to play, which helped me, and which obviously got 4 other clubs interested in me. Then going to Salford, it was the same scenario. Shackles were off. I could play how I
Play
want.
what you see.
Yeah, play what I see, basically, not having to play my side of the field and do my job. I could play how I wanted to. So it was better for me in that respect. But just like I said, off the field, so they're an Aussie called Dean Treaster. He'd come from Parramatta. Newcastle Knights he'd come from. Oh man, what an arsehole he was. Absolutely. Oh man, he just bagged the players, call everybody shit, spastics and stuff like that. He wasn't even doing it himself. And it was just, I couldn't stand the man, honestly. Couldn't stand the man at all.
He didn't fancy a spar, did he?
Yeah, well, put it this way: we used to go to this boxing gym, right? And we used to have to go into this ring, and we could only do body shots only. Yeah. Right. So they put him in with me. Yeah. So
knowing what they were doing, like
but they not. So me boxing, nobody really knew I boxed. So that was just I kept that to myself. That
pretty licensed.
They want many. Anyway, he took a cheap shot. And cut me down chops. I thought, all right, that's it. So I just opened up, and his ass fell out massively. And calm down. Like that. I thought, you know what I mean? I thought
he made it that way, didn't he?
Yeah, I taught him a lesson. I just taught him a quick lesson, and then he was an absolute arsehole, mate. Honestly, and I don't care what. If he was stood next to me, I'd call him an arsehole because he was 100%. He used to call the players, bag the players. And I was just thought, that's not, you don't do that shit. Nobody should do that shit.
You don't need that either, do you, mate? Like, if lads are suffering as well and that. Yeah.
Instead of calling him, I was about show him.
Helping him, yeah.
Help him out. If you don't think we're good enough, help us. You know what I mean? I think he lasted a season or something like that. So you don't need somebody like that in your camp, do you? There's just horrible people.
Sport's hard enough, isn't it?
Yeah. So like, players like him made it difficult, really, because I didn't want to be part of that.
No.
So,
especially where you've come from, like you said as well.
I would always say what I thought, and I would tell people exactly what I was thinking. Nobody could ever say that I went behind the back and said, "Oh, I'm quite direct, mate, quite upfront."
And I don't think you'd ask anyone to do something you wouldn't be willing to do yourself.
No,
it's self-explanatory, that, isn't it? Yeah. So Hull then, mate. So did it feel like a second chance to get up there and have a go?
No, obviously I had a couple of injuries at Salford, but every time I played for Salford, I always did pretty well, to be fair, and I always put the effort in, no matter what. And the fans at Salford, to be fair, used to love me because I used to I was a bit of a dirty player. I wasn't like clean, was I? So I used to like standing on people's hands and stuff like that. I was pretty good at that, to be fair. I did it to Darren Filleri, we were playing Leeds. I used to put my studs. I used to wear 22mm studs, mate, on purpose.
You didn't?
Yeah, and I put his hand down to play the ball and screwed my studs into the back of his hand, and his eyes come bulging out of his head, and he wanted to kill me, and he couldn't get me, and he took a swing at me. Anyway, I think he got put in sin bin for it. Anyway, second half come round, and. It was just, honestly, all he wanted to do was kill me. Anyway, he finally gets me, and I'm on the floor getting up. Actually, I'm on the floor getting up, I put my hand down on the floor. Instead of being subtle and like discreet and stamping on the back of my hand, and what he did, he lifted his leg fully up, stamped on me, and he got sent off. So I went, see you later, Daz. Yeah, that was it. But so the crowd at Salford loved me for that sort of stuff. They loved it because they're them sort of the football fans, aren't they? So the Salford fans love that sort of. Well, they did back then anyway. So anyway, Hull come around. Like I said, second chance. I was coming to the end of my contract. I'd been injured at Salford. Carl Harrison had taken over. I didn't see eye to eye with Carl, to be fair. But I'd got an injury. I'd got a bad injury, and they were trying to make me play, and I couldn't play. And the surgeon said to me, "If I play, you'll probably end up finishing your career," and that was all to do with my groin. So I said, Carl, look, I'm not playing, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I got a phone call out below Sean McRae. And obviously, a bit naughty because I was still under contract. And Sean said, listen, I'd played early on in the season against Hull. And I turned the game, the Boulevard it was.
And you'd already spoke to him as well,
I'd
hadn't
already
you, beforehand?
yeah. And Sean said, look, I still want to bring you to Hull. I said, oh, all right, but I'm under contract. He said, yeah, I know you're under contract, but you can get out of your contract, Kai. I had an option, mate. When I signed for Salford, I signed for 3 years, and the final year on my option, not theirs. So I said, yeah, I've got an option to get out of it. Yeah, he said, well, I'll give you this. Why don't you come to me if you get out of your contract? But he said, we can't talk about this. We can never talk about this, lad. Yeah. I went, all right, Sean, I'll do that. So anyway, I'd come to the end of my contract and so right, and Salford had to pay me out as well. Salford ended up having to pay me out, and I'd gone. I'd already signed for Hull and gone. I bought stuff that I'm going because obviously I didn't want to see an eye to eye with Carl. So.
And just for viewers and listeners, though, Warren, just as easy as it is for a player to get out of a contract, Clint Goodchild said it from who owns York now. The club can also do it very easily, can't they?
Oh, yeah. The club can get you just like that.
It works both ways.
Yeah. Listen, I had the option to get out of the contract. That were written in. Yeah. I had my option to get out. If I didn't have that in, I would do another year at Salford. Yeah. So, but I had the option to get out of there. And obviously, with Carl and not seeing eye to eye with me, I don't know why Carl didn't say eye to eye because I was playing well for Salford. So I don't know why Carl we didn't gel or get on, but we never had any real bad words, but we just didn't get on, sort of thing. Yeah. So, but anyway, Sean come back in for me, and that when I went to Hull, I used to look back and think, God, why didn't I go to Hull the first time round? Because Hull, they have some great players. Jason Smith, what best loose forward I've ever played with Jason Smith. What a player he was. Just read the game, just unbelievable. Steve Precky with there, my mate. Craig Greenhill, Sean Ryan, Adam Marr, Carvel, Kingy, Orney. Just a good side, and they were flying high with up. So for me to get asked to go join them, we're like, I must be all right.
A nice little ball to you again, mate. Yeah.
Must be all right. So I went there. Sean McRae worked for me. He might not work for everybody, but I thought Sean McRae, his man management skills, for me, were really good. He dealt with me. He trained, it was probably him and John, they treated me like an adult. And that's what I responded to. They actually treated me like an adult. And I once spoke to like a little kid. Billy Mallison, the condition at the time, he was brilliant. He was really good. And just Hull itself at that time was really, really a good place to be.
Right club and right people at the time for you,
Yeah. I think we finished 4th in Super League. I think we lost the Leeds in playoff in the final season I was there.
It might not have been the right place when you first got the chance, mate.
No,
I believe in that sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, look, Sean knew I was injured as well. He knew I was carrying this groin injury, and he still was willing to take me, which that was big for me because there's not many coaches or clubs that would do that. Anyway, he took me, and I got my injury sorted out and got playing. And then I played in the pre-season friendly against OKR in the first season there, and that's when I tore all my groin again. So that's when I ended up I had to go to Wales to have surgery. That put me out till end of the season. I come back. My comeback game was Wigan at Wigan. That was my comeback game. Then the week after, I played
an easy one, yeah.
Yeah, an easy one, yeah. That was a funny game.
You know how to do it, mate.
I got sent off.
Did you?
Yeah. Gareth Hocken just come onto the scene, and he was making a name for himself and doing really well. And Gareth was a bit of a dirty player, wasn't he? Yeah. And I'd not played for a good 12, well, no, maybe 8 months, something like 10 months. And my mates had come to see me play. Two of them, they were chief executive Wakefield, actually, Jimmy Elston and David Longo. They were both running Wakefield at the time. Anyway, they come to watch me. And Dad always says, he said, you got up off bench. And he said, game had died in arse. He said, I just saw your face. And I said to Jimmy, I nudged him and went, you know what's going to change this game, don't you? Jimmy went, what? I said, he's going to do something. He goes on. I got on. Gareth touched the ball in. He had a bit of a step, didn't he? He went to step now, went whack straight round chops. He did him. And anyway, Ganson was refereeing. Obviously, Ganson, I like Ganson because if he didn't like you as a player, he would have in you. And obviously, he didn't like Gareth Hock at that time. So I've swinging arm, and I just looked at him. He blew up whistle. I went, Steve. I went, I haven't played for 8 months. He went, yeah, no, just keep him down, won't you? So, but within 2 minutes, I think about 5. I didn't last long. 5 or 10 minutes later, I ended up scrapping with Brian Carney, Farrell, and Tez O'Connor. Ended up having a scrap with all 3 of them. So, and I got sent off.
Oh, funny, mate. 2 of them, mate. You wouldn't want to meet in a dark alley, would you?
No, but anyway, the game changed in that breath. Me going on it made it exciting.
Justified.
Yeah, justified. Yeah.
So your whole spell was an enjoyable one, mate. Outside
enjoyable. To say I didn't play many games, obviously, because I was injured. Yeah. But I loved every minute of being at home. Yeah, loved being around the lads. I loved the coaching staff. The coaching staff were great. Billy Mallinson, I think he was an old PT prison officer at the time, and but he knew how to deal with lads. And obviously the old lads, the young lads, they come from really rough backgrounds, and he knew how to deal with them and bring them up and sort them out, sort of thing. I think it was his job what he did. But like I said, Billy, Sean McRae, they were really good for me as a person. So, I loved it. And I wish I could have finished my career off at Hull, to be honest. Following season, Hull card again in pre-season friendly. I've made a break, middle of the field, and then I've gone to offload to Orney. As I've gone to offload, I've gone down, my arm's gone out. And my shoulder comes straight out. I'd already done I had a shoulder reconstruction prior to that. And I come off the field, I was devastated because I'd just come back from a lengthy spell off. Anyway, to be fair, Sean, he took me to training camp at Torremolinos. Obviously, and I would declare myself fit. I wasn't fit. I was napped.
Yeah.
And he sat down with me, and he said, "Listen, the board have told me I've got to get rid of you because you're injured again." And then I said, "Sean, listen, I'd get rid of me. I understand about it." And he didn't want to get rid of me. But Hull, I think a guy called David Plummer at the time, the chief executive, tried to do a dirty trick on me, Precky. There were a few of us. There were Precky, Richard Fletcher, trying to get rid of us without paying us.
Right.
So I went to go see an employer. I went to solicitor me. I thought, I'm not having this because I would declare myself, they can't offload you. Anyway, I saw this employment solicitor, and he read the contract, and he just went, right, I'm going to give you a couple of words to go say. I can't remember the words. I'm going to give you a couple of words and sentences to go say. Sit down with him. I'm going to guarantee you're going to get paid out your full money. Well, all right. I said, I'm not going to charge you because I think it's disgusting what they're doing to you. So anyway, and then now with this solicitor's time, going through the contracts and that, I went to go meet David Plummer. Sat there, right, we're getting rid of you, blah, blah, blah. I said, no, you're not. This is what you're doing. Repeated what the solicitors told me. I was paid out in full, plus to pay for my operation for me.
He'd have just left you wrong out to dry, wouldn't he?
I went to go see a smart solicitor. He wasn't going to pay me out, get me on. And they did it to Precky and they did it to Richard Fletcher. It's just shocking how they treat players. Just shocking.
Yeah. And we don't realise that though, Warren, do we?
Well, you're up against it half the time.
Yeah, and that's what I think fans need to know, don't they? Is like there's a dirty side to rugby. Like you think you know everything and you know nothing really.
There's a
So no, it is. It is a dirty business, isn't it? They like do treat you like you're a commodity rather than a human at times. And you aren't naive, you know it's
Yeah,
sport. There still should be something to it.
yeah. You shouldn't be treated like a piece of meat. I don't care, and that's how we got treated back then. I don't know if it goes on in today's game, but that's how it went back
Probably
then.
still does, mate. Especially like the champ and lower.
You got treated like a piece of meat and hung out to dry, and that's so wrong. When you're putting your body online for the club, they should look after you no matter what. Yeah, and there should be something, put in place for if somebody gets an injury that's career threatening. They should be looked after. I don't care what anybody says, because you're putting your body online for a professional sport. We're not amateurs. If they want to treat us like amateurs, fair enough, but we're not amateurs.
No, that's it, mate. And then so Dewsbury was when you go to Dewsbury, mate, is coaching a part of the plan, or was it solely initially as a player?
No, I coached. Right from age of 21. I started coaching kids. Yeah, I went to Bradford, and Bradford got me into coaching because we used to go coaching, kids at schools and stuff. Go around all clubs and that. So I decided to go back to my grassroots, Stanley Rangers. I started coaching under eights at Stanley Rangers. So I coached.
Playing was easier.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. But I coached every age group, right up to the open age. I went through every single age group. So I did an apprenticeship, if you want to call it that way, as a coach. So I always wanted to coach. It was always in my mind to coach. I had a bit of an ambition to coach, to be fair. So
you earned the right then, mate, didn't you?
yeah. Did it tough. So obviously I went to Dewsbury, but before I went to Dewsbury, I finished at Hull. I started coaching in France. I went to Dewsbury, didn't I? Coaching Dewsbury.
Yeah.
But obviously, prior to that, I helped Roy Sampson coach Hunslet. Roy asked me to go there.
Full circle moment, mate.
Yeah. Just I left Hull, obviously, wasn't doing much. And Roy said, we come down and I'm doing a bit of coaching. So I went to Hunslet. So Roy let me pretty much run the show, as in coaching. Roy was the manager, so to speak, and I was coaching the lads. And it went well. We ended up making the playoffs, and we did really well. How I ended up going to Dewsbury was I went to watch a kid called Anthony Henderson playing for Wakefield Academy. Me and Roy went to watch him, and the old president of the Dewsbury club, Jack Addy, was there. And he said to me, "Oh, what are you doing now?" I said, "I'm retired, me, Jack. I'd finished from playing." Why did you come and play for us? I went, "Yeah." I said, and I just went, jokingly, "You couldn't afford me, Jack." He went, "You come and see me in Chairman Monday morning. Let's see what we can do for you." I went, all right, whatever. Anyway, that was over at weekend. Anyway, he phoned me. He said, "No, I'm being serious. You need to come down Monday morning and see us." I went, "Oh, all right." So I just went, just thought, you know what? Nothing gained, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Went down there, spoke to Jack, spoke to Chairman Matt, which was Matt's at the time. Well, I think it still is. And they just put a deal on the table and offered me it. I looked at it and thought, it's not bad for part-time rugby. I said, "Yeah, I'll take it." So I just signed because they'd offered me a decent deal. And I just signed for them, About 2 nights a week, 3 nights a week training, and a game on a Sunday. Easy money, that. So I took it. So I'd just come out of the full-time environment, hadn't I? So
how was that adjustment, mate? Because it's like part-time.
That was tough. Yeah, that was tough because it was part-time, and then I would have to work and just back into working and playing. I found that really tough. So going from full-time and training full-time without having to work is not, I wouldn't say easy, but relatively easy. Having to work and play part-time rugby is far harder than training full-time as a rugby player. So all these lads that play part-time rugby and work, I take my hat off to them because I know what they're going through. It's tough, really tough going. There's days when your body's absolutely in bits and you've got to get yourself up, go do an 8-hour graft, and then go train as well. that's tough doing, is that really tough doing? And they don't.
They still love the game at that point, don't they, mate?
But they don't get recognised for doing that.
No,
they don't, not at all. And I think they go unrecognised. With them part-time players, and they're doing it tougher than the full-time player all day long.
And then when you're coaching at that level, then how does it feel becoming a coach from a player, mate? Is there much change for you? Because I imagine you treat people like you'd have wanted to be treated, so you'll be nice.
Exactly.
Them and that.
Yeah. That's straight out, always straight down line. And I thought, there's no way I'm going to treat anybody how Mafiola treat me. Dead straight. Listen, not a lot of players like it. Not a lot of players want to be told straight. But I think honesty is the best policy. End of.
Yeah.
If they don't like it, they don't like it. They can't say that and they went behind their backs, because never did. It was straight down the line with me. And I'd tell somebody if they weren't playing or if I were getting rid of them, I would dead up front with them all the time. I didn't mince my words.
Say why as well, yeah.
Yeah, I'd tell them why. Yeah, I always tell them why. Yeah, tell somebody. Tell somebody I don't think you played right well this week. You dropped. Then I have to sit down and tell them why. Why they're not playing, what they've got to improve on, and stuff like that, or that. Or if you don't do that, you're just not being fair as a coach. So, and if they get munk on, they get munk on, but the sun come round and get round.
Or if they don't have to stick around. They can go play somewhere else. Yeah.
I used to always say that to lads: if you're not happy, come and see me. I'm not going to fall out with you. You can go. Yeah. We'll sort it. It's not a problem. No point falling out.
No, it's a game, isn't it, mate?
It's a game. Yeah. So obviously, then I did really well with Dewsbury when I started coaching Dewsbury. I went unbeaten, didn't I? So I'm thinking the second coach in history. Yeah.
It's right though, isn't it? You've earned that. You've earned it. Yeah.
And I had a good set of lads. I had good players. I took a lot of the lads I was coaching at Stanley Rangers. I think there were 5 or 6 of them that were in 19s, early 20s. I pulled them from Stanley and brought them over. So they knew me. They knew what I were like, and they knew what sort of coaching system, which it worked. I had Liam Finn.
Good step up that though, innit, Warren?
Yeah. It was good. Yeah, big step up. A couple of them had already played a bit of semi-pro. So Adam Robinson, they'd been playing at. I think he'd been at Doncaster actually. Adam. So he played. I think he played under St John Ellis. So he got a little bit of experience behind him, and then a couple of us had been around. When I say not long, but we were in that Northern Ford Championship.
Yeah, the NFP. Premiership.
Yeah. So I brought these young lads in who I knew me and my sister to help me coach basically. And it works.
Just staying in the attrition, mate, innit? It's the grind, isn't it? At the levels, you just stay in the game as long as you can, don't you?
Well, I believe a coach is a salesman, and you're selling a product. And if you sell your product and everybody buys into it, that product's going to work. If they don't buy into it, that product's not going to work, is it? So It's all about selling the product. And like I said, I had a really good season with the lads, went unbeaten. But just after that, it just went sour for me at Dewsbury. It just went downhill. We got promoted to the NFP 1, and the chairman slashed my budget. Give me a less budget. Yeah, how does that work?
Well, you just took the words out of my mouth, yeah.
How does that work? I get promoted, we go unbeaten all season, and we go up, and he slashes my budget.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I couldn't believe what was happening to me, but because I was young and naive to coach, the coaching side were all right because I'd done it for a lot of years, but
the business side, innit?
The business side of it, I didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't even know what the budget was.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I left you I found out what my budgets should have been and what I was getting were two totally different things.
So you were punching, really, yeah.
Yeah, we're punching massively. It was long. Yeah. I think when I went unbeaten, I think I had a budget of 125 grand when we went unbeaten.
How big would your squad was?
Get promoted, it flashes my budget. He gave me 80 grand.
That's drastic, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but the budget in that division at that time was 450,000. I didn't know that, by the way.
You need to know how.
I did not know what the budget was. I just presumed you got what you were given because that's all they could afford. This flashes my budget to 80 grand. Like, right, what do I do? And I lost. I lost a couple of good players. Featherstone come in, swooped in and took some players and obviously paid them a fair play to the players to go. But that season then, we ended up, we finished seventh. I think it was top 6 or something like that. And we finished, we finished 8th. That's right. And it was top 6. I can't remember right what. We missed out on playoffs by 1 game. And that game we were playing Widnes. And we got to Widnes. And we're beating Widnes. There's no time left on clock whatsoever. We're beating Widnes. Gareth Ewer counted 5th and last twice. His hand goes up in the air. I've got it on video. It goes up in the air twice. He gave and Widnes on our try line. The score on the 7th tackle do Widnes and beat us. No time left on clock. You know what I got?
You can do it on 40 grand.
Yeah. Do you know what? You know what I got on rugby league? In rugby league, I got a written apology from Gareth Ewer. A written apology. If I'd have out about me,
no good to you, is it?
No, is it? No. So we would have been in playoffs. No. Yeah. So that was shocking. That, but yet again, that went on. His hand goes up in the air twice. He goes 5th and last twice. How did he not get banned from referee for that?
Yeah, well, with his touches as well.
Yeah, exactly. It should have been, that try should have been disallowed, and we should have won. End of.
No, it shouldn't.
No, yeah. Yeah. Do you remember the game?
I don't, I'm shocked I don't know.
Yeah. It's on video, his arm goes up in the air twice.
You won't get a written apology from me, what
yeah. But Widnes were flying high then, Widnes were doing pretty well there. So for us to go to you and take you all the way, and it was just disheartening. It was disheartening for me. It was on a budget of 80 grand.
I know. It's nuts, that, mate. You have to do it on 40 next year,
I did. No, he gave me 40 grand.
Oh, did he? Oh, no, we messing.
He gave me 40k. I got 40.
Can't do it with that, mate, can you?
I walked in, I went, what do you want me to do with that? Just stay up. That's the answer I got. So I tell you what, I put a ragtag team together of lads that won't want it anywhere. And they got rid of me, did Dewsbury. I went into my 4th season that they got rid of me, and I was sitting 7th. I had 3 games left. Still, technically, I could have made playoffs.
That's why they've got rid of you, that.
Yeah, because they didn't want me there. Because I wanted to win.
It's producing. Yeah.
Yeah. To get rid of me, because if I make playoffs, he's got to keep me. Yeah.
And then they'll have to reinvest, won't they?
Yeah, exactly. So, but I remember we were playing Keighley. Keighley had Michael Colkidas, Semi Tagilara, Sam Hobbs, Jason Demetriou. They're a right side. It was practically Wakefield's ex-Super League side. They're all, you know what I mean? All at Keighley. Keighley spent big, and I'd got 40k. I remember getting interviewed after the game. They said to me on radio, so what do you think the problem is? And I just went, boom. I thought, nah.
Yeah. What did he expect from you, though, when they're throwing a mic in your face after that? Innit?
I just went, really? I said, look at the money here. This team's being bought with, what's been spent on this team, and let's look at my team. Anyway, I didn't hold back. I just let it all out, didn't I? I got the phone call. I knew when the phone went the following day. I know what you're going to say, but I've got 3 games to go. Just let me finish my games. I'll walk away gracefully. Whether I'll get playoffs or not, I'll walk away no matter what. And they won't let me do it anyway because I'd already opened my gob. So
you've been honest, yeah.
Yeah, just got to be honest, yeah. And there's not many people know that what he did, and that tarnished me for coaching. That was it. That put me under what he did over the couple of years. Put me under pressure and the stress was disgusting. You won't do that to anybody. The stress, and when you're a coach, it's like boxing. You're on your own. When you're winning,
oh yeah, you've got plenty of people around winning, haven't you?
But when you're losing, it's a lonely place for the coach. And I take me out to any coach when I can sympathise with him. You know what I mean? When they're struggling and teams are struggling, I just think, no, it's probably not the coach. It's not the players. There's something going off in back. Salford, prime example. It's not the coach. It's not the players. It's the back room. But it's above what's going on. Isn't it? So it's just it's just
how do you still like rugby when that happens? You know what I mean? Like, I know your lad's playing now and that, and you can take pride in that. And he's got to do his own story in that, hasn't he, mate? Like, you've got to not distance yourself, but like getting to know you now, you could tell you don't want your story being linked to his. He needs to do it himself, don't he, Warren?
But
how you still into rugby, mate, baffles me.
Well, after that, I went sour from it. I didn't watch it. I won't watch it on telly or anything. I didn't want anything to know about the game at all. It just proper turned me because to be treated like that, and then I was made the scapegoat, and all I ever wanted to do was coach. So so my time at Dewsbury good in one respect. As a player there, we're okay, we're good. My first 2 seasons really good, but the writing were on the wall when they started slashing my budget anyway. And then year after, obviously, I leave, and he gives Glenn Morrison the entire budget. What is allowed? And you know what? No disrespect to Glenn Morrison, but they didn't do any better. They never improved. And they bought a lot of players and that, and they never did anything. So what does that tell you?
Not well. Sometimes, mate, grass ain't always greener, is it?
No, is it? No, not at all. So I just left from there. I just fell out with the game after that, and I wasn't interested.
That's how you got on with your business, mate. Yeah,
just built my business up, and I do well with my building business. That's what I do well with. But like I said, I watch my lad now, and I enjoy watching my lad play.
Wear them glasses with the fake nose and the muzzy to try and hide.
It's ironic, isn't it? Because my lad's played. He went to Bradford, and obviously I played at Bradford, and now he's at Hunslet. Obviously, he's going the other way around, but he's at Hunslet. But to be fair to him, he's playing really well at the moment, and I'm his biggest critic. But it's like when I was at Bradford, shackles have been taken off him, and he's allowed to play now.
Happy player,
so he's happy. So he's playing well. So it don't always work. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. Bradford's a good place to be at this moment in time. They're doing really well, aren't they? Because Nobby's there. But I think Billy were under. It just didn't suit him. It wasn't for him, and you could play a certain way and you can't express yourself. Well, Billy's a player that is full of skills. Far more skilled than I ever was, and he's in an environment now where he's allowed to express himself. So that's made him a better player. So
the right words for him, then, mate. And
yeah.
Right, mate. I've dominated tonight. I've got a few daft questions for you. So, any pre-match superstitions, Warren?
So I used to have a McDonald's every Saturday before the game. That was me. Big thing, McDonald's. I had to have it. If I didn't have that, I didn't think I'd have energy for the game. It's just because I used to eat clean all week, so Saturday would be my shit day, and that give me the energy. And then on a game day, it was always porridge, onion on toast, and that was it. That's all I'd do on game day. Other than that, I didn't have no superstitions.
Right. So this next word makes different for everybody, variation-wise, but the toughest player you played with and against?
I was taught a very harsh lesson. So remember Kurt Thompson?
Yeah.
Test Kiwi international forward, big front row forward, old school front row forward, hard as nails. So I was playing for Hunslet. He would play coach at Whitehaven. And obviously I'm playing against Kurt Thompson. I'm 18 and I tackle Kurt Thompson and I stand above it. And I say to him, my exact words that come out of my mouth at 18-year-old. For this game, you want to pack it in, you, right? totally just like in a couple of minutes, I've got the ball. Next thing, I can just feel myself going through air. I'm getting upended. I'm getting dumped on my head. And Kurtzon stood up above me and going, "No, who's too old, boy?" Like that. I just looked at him and went, not you, like that. And I was taught an harsh lesson that he proper give it to me. And he wanted, I made it probably sound softer than what he hurt me big time. And I was 18 years of age, and he was just proving a point. And
humbled in a little bit.
Yeah, and I just thought, you know what? I ain't going to badmouth like that ever again. Stuff that, you know what I mean? It was like a lesson learned pretty quick. So I think all of the players are tough. You know, anybody that plays rugby at any level has got a level of toughness because it's a tough sport. I don't care what anybody says.
It is.
So the toughest player I've played with, it's got to be Brian McDermott. Not as in physically tough, but he's just a tough man, tough off the field, can handle himself on the field. He won't necessarily a threat when he runs balling or he won't going to hurt anybody in a tackle. But Brian is just a tough man. If I were getting into bother, I'd want him at side of me.
Yeah.
That's
right. That's fair enough.
Yeah, I'd definitely have Brian at side of me. Yeah.
Your favourite away ground you played at, mate?
Warrington. The old
Wilderspool.
Yeah. Because every time I played at Warrington, we won. So I don't think I've ever lost a game at Warrington. So that's why I
did enjoy it.
Yeah, so that's my favourite ground to play because we never lost there. The best pictures had to be Salford, Wakefield, Hull FC. They have the best pictures. The groundsman, the old groundsman at Salford, that pitch there at the Willows used to be immaculate.
So what mate played on it at Town Team, and it's up there with the best pitch I ever played on.
Wakefield, Steve, the back at Wakefield, he had that in good and then obviously I went to plays at KC Stadium, and that's such a good playing surface as well. So they're the three best grounds to play at, I think.
So if you could, mate, any player from any era, who would you have liked to have played alongside?
Gordon Tallis, all day long. Gordon Tallis, I had listen. Gordon Tallis is probably a bit older than me, but we played in the same sort of era. But I had Gordon Tallis on the pedestal because I thought he was the number one back row back then. So he was an animal, that bloke.
Yeah, no, he was. Like, I've only seen like proper highlights, mate, because the Aussie game weren't massive here, was it? Really?
No, but Tallis was man, wasn't he? So, yeah. Give me a team of Tallises, you'd beat anybody, wouldn't you?
No, you would. You would. So if you could tell a younger you something, Warren, what would it be?
I'd go with your gut. Go with your gut, and probably don't beat yourself up as much.
I'm going to say believe in yourself, maybe.
Believe in yourself more, definitely.
Yeah. Fair enough, mate. If we have a few beers and the microphone ends up in your hand, what are you giving us?
Oh, meatloaf, Bartleville. Oh, no, because I actually won a karaoke competition when I went at Dewsbury. We had a karaoke competition, and I won it, but I was last on stage, so everybody was pissed at the time. Yeah, so obviously,
a win's a win, isn't it?
Yeah, a win's a win, exactly. And 100% record, so I've never done it again.
And if you're willing to, mate, a 1 to 13 that you played with.
Yeah, 2 seconds of willing, actually.
Oh, what is?
1 to 13. So Steve Prescott, fullback. Michael Hancock, one wing. Paul Loughlin, centre. Paul Newlove, opposite centre. Tavita Vicona, opposite wing. Henry Paul at 6. Bobby Golden at 7. Craig Greenhill up front. Darren Tracy, little looker from Newcastle Knights, number 9. Gaz Carvell at 10. Sean Ryan, 11. Adam Marr at 12. Jason Smith at 13.